Sukihana. They have linked up, y'all. So finally they linked up. And she was all dressed and showing love. And it was just an amazing support that they are out. And, of course, Sukihana is out. Look, ooh, that's so great. So, y'all do know Dr. Umar and Sukihana had a relationship, and Sukihana said she wanted to give Dr. Umar some. And and they linked up. He's supposed to be the African, African prince, African. He's more pro Africa. Marcus Garvey cousin. I think he Marcus Garvey nephew. No, he Frederick Douglass cousin. Okay, something like that. But then the family of Frederick Douglass said he ain't related to Frederick Douglass. Anyway, so they linked up. But Sukihana's also in the docket too because Sukihana, she was in special ed. So let me play this clip, you guys. I did not know she was in special ed, but she was in special ed. Let's look at what she said. Give me a second here.
This is not a judgmental lie, but I'm not going to lie. Being in the small class and the special class, I learned that now they shouldn't do that no more. Instead of putting children in a slower class and making everybody that we have to walk past people in the slow class of 8 people while the other classes got 40 and 30, we gotta walk past them and they say, oh, you in a slow class. How about let's start changing that and just putting extra teachers in the classroom because it's really humiliating. It hurts. And it also adds to people having commitments issues, trust issues, and not being able to learn how to make friends. If you were left-handed, or you was in a special ed class, or you did have ADHD, something that I have, don't ever feel like you less than nobody. God made you creative. God made you special. God made you smart. I do shows right now, and thousands of people are paying to come see me.
So I want to interject on that from a person that was in special ed, all of mine, all the way up to high school until I graduated. I do understand. I have to say that. And for growing up, Illinois, Chicago Public School System, CPS, I felt different. I knew I was different. They do separate you. Even when they took an exam, we will go and do an exam in another class, something like a smaller classroom, but it's like 4 or 5 people. And, it was totally different. I felt different. The bullying, like they knew I was in a slow class, everybody knew it. And it felt different. And I agree with Sukihana. I don't think they should separate. I think that if you have kids that are learning at a slower pace, you should keep them in the same classroom. Give everybody extra time. But it was just so sad that we were going through that, as growing up in school and having that separation from the regular kids, and it brought a lot of bullying to me, and it hurt me, and I didn't even want to do it anymore. But that shifted when I got to high school and I met John D. Evans. He was my special ed teacher. He actually was my IEP person over the IEP because you're in special ed, you got to go through IEP. You have meetings and stuff like that. But he was over that, and it changed my whole perspective of special ed. I didn't feel slow. I felt that he had me in debate. I was winning debate awards. I Under him, I almost got into AP. I started improving history. I started thriving. My grades started to pick up. And he got me into Know Your Heritage, and we start, I was on television thanks to John D. Evans. May he rest in peace. He was a so good teacher. I mean, he was into poetry. And I will never forget the first day I was in Division 902, because in high school we had division. and he came through, and he was so strict, big feet, tall, and he looked like my father, and of course he opened up. He was just a cool teacher. He's my favorite teacher, and I loved him. He was so educated and so smart. And I would never forget dealing with racism. I never knew it until when I went in high school. And it was a white gentleman. He said, "You're not smart enough to go to what was the school, that a military school. Everybody went there. It's like a top military school. Can't think of the name because everybody in Chicago Military Academy, we always wanted to go there. West Point, yes. So I wanted to apply for West Point, apply for colleges or whatever. And he said, "You are not smart enough for West Point." And he was my special ed teacher too, Mr. Singleton. I will never forget it. His name was Mr. Singleton. He said, "You're not smart enough." And I told Mr. Evans about that. And it's just a lot. And then Mr. Evans started dealing with racism as well. Mr. Singleton replaced him with less education and stuff. And I just remember that being in high school, and I've noticed some things. And then I haven't seen Miss Evans in a while, and he left because it was just so much. And then he came back. He took like a mental health break or something he had to take. It was a lot that he was going through mentally at the job, a lot of discrimination, a lot of racism. I mean, the principal was very racist there as well. But out of all of that, he was just great for his students. The students, we loved him. I personally loved him. He always educated me. He told me about myself. He kept me in school. If I missed a day in school, because at one point I stopped going to school, I wasn't going like that. He called. He said, "You better be back in school." And I came back in school, and it was so great. Like my last 2 years in school, because I think he came my junior year. No, he must came my sophomore year. And my last two, um, my last two years in high school was great. I had such a honor. That's when I started telling jokes. I started being about that life. And Miss Evans was a big part of that. He was so great. He was so entertaining. He was just a great guy. He knew when I had a bad day. I would go in his office. He would help me with write a paper. He just was there. He helped me keep my grades at a good level. He just great advice, just great advice. And when he passed, it hurt me. And of course, he was gay. And I didn't know that until like when I was a senior, because I called and I'm assuming that was his boyfriend. And I was like, "Oh, I think he is." And I said, "Okay." And then once I've got out of high school, we just developed this relationship. We developed a great relationship as just he was a great mentor. He would listen to my show, he would give me advice. It was just a great guy. And I never looked at him like that because my mind went into all that stuff. My mind was just being young, church. I was just so involved. I would say, "You got to come to my church." He was a preacher, he was a pastor, a minister. And it was just so great. Shout out to John Veal, another special ed teacher. I just remember the special ed teacher. I remember their name because they were so. One thing I can say about special ed classes that the teachers were there. We spent so much time together, and I will never forget John Veal, Pastor Veal. Um, he know who I am, and I think I told a teacher that he's not the best teacher. He didn't too much know the math problems like that. He struggled with math too. And I think I told somebody, and they told Mr. Ville. He said, "Why did you say that?" And me and Mr. Ville had a little problem the same year, but and then me and him got into it about women pastors. I didn't believe in women preachers. I was a kid, baby. I would whatever I learned from church, I would bring that idea to school. I would bring my Bible. I remember one time, and it's just like, because especially you got a lot of time. So I would bring my Bible. We would talk about the scripture. I was so like involved in the scripture. And I would go to my grandmother. I'm like, "What's in the Bible? Do God kill?" And she gave me a scripture in there. And then I went back to school. We had these debates about the Bible. And I just remember that. So, but back to Sukihana point, I don't believe that children should be separated from any. I think we all should be in there. But I just loved it. I was so involved in school. I loved it. I love that it was just a great thing. I loved it. Like it was good. I will never forget it. Taking a cab with Mr. Evans and getting in Mr. Evans' car. He would drive us to the debate. Mr. Evans actually he called, and I forgot the young gentleman, was a white dude from University of Chicago, and he came from University of Chicago to Chicago Military Academy to train us in debate. And they was wondering like why we were so good in debate because Mr. Evans got in contact with the University of Chicago and got a young college student. He was short. I forgot his name, but he started training us in debate. And we would have to print out all these papers, and I would have a big binder thing with all the papers we had to print out, and we would just train for hours, and it was so good. And I appreciate that from Mr. Evans for that. And I appreciate my upbringing from Chicago Military Academy. I love Chicago Military Academy. I hate that we never had a reunion, but it kept me out the streets. And I don't talk bad about special education because it helped me. It helped me for who I am today. Um, I feel like my mother could have been better and giving me tutoring. I think she failed in that department. But again, she was a poor mother, didn't graduate from high school. At that time, she didn't graduate. She went back and got her diploma. But um, she was going through life. No good man. He wanted to work when he wanted to work. He couldn't manage money like that. She had 6 kids. So it was a lot that she had to go through and growing up under. She was a young mother. So I don't put too much blame on her. But if I could, but now whenever I have children, I'm gonna just listen to what Tamla Mann and my mother said, that do with your children that your parents weren't able or that you feel that they didn't do for you. So you be that change for your children. So but my advice is if you do have children in special ed, they don't have to stay on special ed, they can just get tutoring. My cousin Nishanta, this is Bishop Cartwright's daughter. Um, they wanted to put my cousin in special ed. And so my auntie Anita, she said, no, my daughter is not going on special ed. So due to the fact that my auntie, she graduated from college, she started tutoring my my cousin. And she did not get a special ed. She went to college. She graduated, got her master's. I think she got a P. I think she got her. Yeah, she got her master's. I remember when she graduated because I remember one time we went to her school to help her in her dorm and stuff, like to help bring stuff to her dorm when Bishop Cartwright went there, and she graduated. Uh, and it was such a blessing. Like it was a blessing that my cousin graduated, but they wanted to put her in special ed. They say, oh, she ain't learning right. So my auntie, because she was a work at home mom and she had the resources and she had the knowledge, and she had a working husband that worked at Cook County Hospital as a janitor, she raised and she trained and tutored my cousin, and she didn't have a life in special ed, and she pride on it. And so both her daughters, my cousin, he didn't graduate. Her son Melvin Jr., he didn't graduate. But both my cousin Ishanta and my cousin Lauren, or we call her Nikki, they both have graduated and got degrees and PhDs. So it's a blessing. But it's like I just love the fact that I saw that, and so I would never put my child in special ed because it gives them a crutch. Because there is no special ed, life ain't like that. You ain't gonna be okay. You're special ed. We're gonna put you in a special room. Life ain't like that. You're gonna get the same hardship, the same struggles, the same. You got to get to it. So I don't want to paint this picture that everything is going to be catered to you. That you're gonna have a secret room with extra time on tests. They don't have that in college, so it sets you up as a crutch. So no, you're gonna if it takes you that, we're gonna give you training while you're young and train you about math and reading that it becomes second nature. All right. I just wish my mother would have done that for me, but thank God that she felt good enough she did the best that she could, and I was able to do the rest. And I thank God for that. Now I'm here entertaining y'all. But that just bring back so many memories being in special ed, and I just felt different. Like we would have to have a meeting, and people would talk about the meeting, and they would have conversations. I remember one time, and I shared the story before. I was in a meeting, and uh, Mr. Evans, he was like, "Yeah, because Wiley, he's been getting bullied. They're bullying Wiley." And it was this lady. She's stinking musty. She was my special ed person too. There was a lot of people in that meeting, and she said, "No, no, no, Mr. Wiley. He talk about people. He make fun of people." And he egg on a lot of stuff that go on. And she was musty in that meeting. And he get mad when people talk about him. And he want to cry, but then he be talking about people. And then my mama said in the meeting, I said, he got that from me because I like to talk about people, but I don't want nobody talking about me. So I've always been trolling and talking about people. That's just in my nature. I've always done it. I've done it in high school. And sometimes I would take the jokes too far, make fun of people, mamas and grannies, and I was just that type of person. I love being a class guy. We had a teacher, I think she was from Germany. What was she from? I know either Russian or Germany, but whatever. Miss Akovich, it was her name, Miss Akovich. She was my what was that? She was my geometry teacher, and I would make fun of her all the time, the way that she teach. I said, please speak English. I would make fun of her, and she would put me in, she would tell me to get out the class, and I would get out the class. They would just take me to special ed, and I would go in there, and he said, stop making fun of Miss Ekovich. And I would go back, making fun of her and everything like that. I said, please, ma'am, you need to learn English. Where are you from? This is America. And then we were singing a Star Spangled Banner, and I said, you need to start singing the Star Spangled Banner because this is for American citizens only. Like, I used to troll that teacher. What did I tell you? English. It didn't make me no different. It didn't make it no better, is what I'm saying, because the class would like egg you on and laugh, and that was like my feud. Like, I just would never forget getting a reaction from the crowd, and I just had to be the class clown. I just had to be the class clown. I just love that reaction, and they're laughing. I love the audience. I loved it. And I just would never forget. I was just trolling. I was in debates. I was in arguments. I was into stuff like that. And yeah, I did get bullied. It was one time somebody burnt me with a cigarette lighter, and I think he hit me. He fought me, and I didn't want to press charges, but my dad came because my mother was never the active in our school. She just never wasn't. So my dad came, and I think they called my grandmother, and I think my dad told them, well, his mother gonna want to press charges. Because at first I didn't want to press charges, but they override me because he was good looking. I mean, I thought he was my friend. I was weird. And so he burned me with a cigarette. He beat me up. He burned me with a cigarette lighter. But I didn't want him to go to jail. And I will never forget it. My mom, they pressed charges. They arrested him, and he got kicked out of school, and I just felt bad. And then it was more bullying. You a snitch, you a this. It wasn't, the word ops didn't exist, but I just remember that you a snitch and everything like that. But kids is cruel. So that was the topic for the day. Then something else happened in the middle. But I just remember that. I remember that. For that, like I remember, because my grandma was very active in my school life. Like, she was very active because I lived with my grandmother. I moved out of my mom's house when I was so young because it was just so much going on in the house with the alcohol, the police coming every weekend, and so I wanted to move. I just wanted some peace. I just got tired of the breaking up the fights, the police coming every weekend. So I moved with my grandmother, and my grandmother I graduated from Perkin-Bass Elementary School, and we were looking for high schools. And this is when I knew about being slow, because this is bringing back so many members. So everybody was getting their letters. Oh yeah, Wiley. I already know they have to. And we have some smart Jasmine, Mr. Putman's son, Joey Putman, his son. They have to accept slow kids for their budget. I can't even tell. So you're going to get approved. And I didn't think that, believe it. So I applied for Chicago Military Academy because I wanted to follow Mr. Putman's son. He was another great teacher, Mr. Putman. I liked his son. I liked Mr. Putman. He was a good, strong military type of teacher in school. So I said, hey, he said, my son going to Mr. Putman, and I looked at Mr. Putman as a father figure. So his son was going to Chicago Military Academy. Jasmine was going to University to Chicago Military Academy, Brownsville. So I said, hey, I want to go to Brownsville. And so I looked at the school. I said, I want to go to Brownsville. So I applied. I didn't think I was going to get in. And then I got the letter and I got in. And then I knew you was going to get it because you slow. So they got to pass you automatically. And I hear all this. I didn't care what they said. And then like my 8th grade, I think I boo-booed on myself. I think I did. It was pictured that I was nervous. I think I boo-booed on myself. And so they started calling me Doodle Stick. And they called another girl Mrs. Doodle. Either I doodle or I pass gas. I don't think I doodle on myself. I pass gas. And whatever the case may be, it was around the popular kids. So they called me Mr. and Mrs. Doodle Stick. But one other person, she was kind of popular. So her Mrs. Doodle Stick, they stopped calling her that. And it just stuck with me in 8th grade. Doodle Stick, Dookie Stick. Like that was like the name in the 8th grade. So I said, I'm done with this. I cannot wait to graduate. Shout out to Ms. Weathers. May she rest in peace. She was an 8th grade teacher. And I can sing. So I would start singing. I Believe I Can Fly, whatever I would sing. And he said, oh my gosh, Marquise, you can really sing. I love you. Like you could sing. And I graduated at 8th grade. And I went to high school. And I said, I'm done with this. I ain't no more Dookie Stick, whatever. I'm Wiley. I'm going to be a cadet or whatever. So I didn't know that in Chicago Military Academy, you got to go to school during the summer to prepare to march in the Bulliga Parade. And this is like my first time put on a military uniform, and then you had to deal with bullying there. Your ass going to Iraq. They're going to ship your black ass to Iraq. I can't even tell you, you going to Afghanistan. Your black ass going to Iraq. I kept hearing my black ass going to Iraq. I'm like, how I'm going to Iraq? They go, what did they say? What did they say? Because they kept saying it's not shipping. What did happen to get people to join the military? You get what in the military? Whatever that word is, I can't think of the word. But they kept saying that they go when they. What did they say that? Oh my God, I can't think of the word. Oh my God, I can't think of the word. But they're gonna ship you. They didn't say ship. Of course, they said jab. But they said when they what is that word? It is on the tip of my tongue. But they kept saying that you're gonna go to the you're not gonna go to the you're gonna go to the military. Anyway, they're gonna draft you. Thank you. They're gonna draft you to the military. Thank you. They're gonna draft you, whatever. So it was the word draft. But anyway, so we training for the Bulliga Parade. So we get to the Bulliga Parade. And I want to see if I can remember some of these people's names, because this is my 8th grade book. Do I have that person's name in this book? This is this 8th grade book. And it's in good condition. I'm trying to see if I can find her name. This in the Bass Elementary School. And shout out to Jamie, Rashonda, Jerry, Avery, Sean, and Sherman. And most of these people like church kids. Wow. This is June in 2005. Okay, I can't think of her name. But anyway, we was at the Bulliga Parade, right? And it was like, Doodle Stick. I was like, oh no. And I tried the best to hide. But it was 2 people that came for me from 8th grade. And they didn't call me doodle stick. They kind of like forgot about it, whatever. Soon they see that doodle stick. There you go. Yeah, that's doodle stick right there. Joey and Jasmine put my business out there. And so one of the upperclassmen said, "Who is doodle stick? Where he at? Where doodle stick at?" And I was so hurt. Everybody was like, "What's the word? What? I was so hurt. I could have cried. Doodle stick, doodle stick. They kept saying, they taunted me at that Bullocker parade. They taunted me at that parade. And thank God that it was the summertime that they forgot about it. That doodle stick did not come and follow me in high school. It did not come follow me in high school. So thank God it did that. That ended. It happened like in 8th grade, but in high school it was a different story. But it was good. And then, in high school, you learn about yourself and you get, what I'm saying? I had crushes, not crutches, but I had a crush on a female and I was turned on. And they said, "Oh, he's on hard." And they said, "Oh my God." Like I was on hard. Like I can just remember like the first time being on hard in public. And when you in military school, I don't know why I'm sharing on my business, but when you're in military school, my grandmother couldn't afford to put the clothes in the cleaners like you supposed to. She said, forget that. She would wash it and iron it, and it would shrink. And so if you get excited, it shows in your crotch. Okay? It shows in your crotch area. And I would definitely get that. I remember that, other like, because it wasn't too many like openly gay people in school, but I just remember these two guys. One was obese. I went into them, but it was another guy that was there that I had a huge crush. I had a crush on him. And we went to the school bathroom. Now it was cold then, and I didn't know I was ashy, and I didn't know my peen was ashy. So I was like, he started touching, and it was ashy, and whatever. He said, "Okay, we got," and then someone was coming in, so he hurried up, and so he told everybody that I had an ashy peen. I had an ashy peen. Like and then, "Oh, you got an ashy peen." So then my word was ashy peen. Like I just had a lot that went on. And then I said, "I'm done with dudes." And it was this fat girl, because everybody had girlfriends. And Mr. Muhammad, he, at the school, his last name was Muhammad. And I remember people last name because we didn't call people by our first name. Everybody was like, "Kim and Wiley, Kim and Muhammad, Kim and Putman." Everybody was like their last name. Like, you know what I'm saying? Everybody had their last name. So it was like, and then it was like Ashy Pink for me. Okay. So then I said, okay, everybody had girlfriends. And so we was in band. I don't know what made me join the band. I don't know what instrument I was joining the band, but it was this female that I liked. And she was beautiful. She smelled good. And we just started working on the drums or whatever, working in the band or whatever. And I'm sorry, I wasn't in the band. She was in the band. I was just being around her because we was friends, right? And then this one particular time we just got together. We started kissing, making out. And I didn't want to hold her hand because I was ashamed, because I didn't think I could pull a girlfriend, but she was kind of like fat. And I didn't want to get dragged that I got a fat woman. So she said, "Oh, you nervous?" And then we held hands. And they were so happy that we was together, whatever. And then in high school, I could just remember, if I ever go back to that, I don't know if they shut that down, but it was a staircase that in Chicago Military Academy, in the gym, if you ever go to the school, if you go up them stairs, it's like a secret, like component staircase where in order to get to that area, you have to come up to a certain scale and you can hear everything and see everything. So we start we start getting it in, like me and her, we start getting it in or whatever the case may be. And I said, I can't do this. I'm a Christian. This is sinful. I was so into the Bible that, my pastor, Bishop Kyra, my uncle, he made it seem like you're going to hell if you do this. So I didn't want to go to hell. But it just felt so good. And the way I was kissed, the way she was moaning, I just would never forget it. And or whatever, and we was together, and then her mom didn't like that I was calling. She didn't want us to be together, and her mom was kind of stupid, like, and I don't know, like she didn't like us together. She didn't like us together because she said she didn't want her baby to get pregnant. I'm like, she's not gonna get pregnant, like in so many words. But she told us to stop talking. I think she called my grandmother, and my grandmother said we on our way to hell, and it was just a lot. So, long story short, we just stopped talking about each other, but we still kept being cool. We kept being cool, whatever. And then we fell out. I don't want to share this part of the story, but we fell out because I didn't have a haircut, and she was like, "Babe, you need a haircut." And I said, "B, what you say?" And she said, "Why did you call me a B?" I was like, "Oh man, I'm like so sorry." I'm like, I was like, I was so sorry because she said, "Oh, babe, you need a haircut." I'm like, "B, what you say?" And I don't know what made me say that. I can't tell you what made me call her a B word, but she cried. I hurt her feelings. I cried. She didn't want. She said, "Don't follow me home," or whatever the case may be. Like, I really tried to apologize, and eventually, I think I bought her some Burger King, or because at Chicago Military Academy, you know, McDonald's was like the spot. So we went to McDonald's, and I think I bought her like a burger or something, and then we were like back friends or whatever. We were back in the good graces. So we were back cool. So I can just go on and on and on. Of course. But I remember that was a problem inside Wiley job. Don't cover. So I remember that. I remember that. And we made up. I remember us making up because I never wanted to make her feel bad. Like I cried, like she cried. And that was like the first time I got emotional in front of a female because she was crying, then I cried. And I was so young and dumb. I was young and dumb. And so, yes, baby, we gonna get to these other topics, but that special education thing just came to me, and I didn't know that growing up. That's what I heard. Your mama being called a B, or this call it MF. My mama would cuss us out like that. You learn that behavior somewhere, and it took me a while. Like I used to cuss, not that much, but it would just come out stupidly. It was I didn't even know it was in me, but then it was in me. So but I was I remember that. And I remember in school that we had the dance. I think, what do they call that? Homecoming dance. And my grandmother, I would have to sneak to the homecoming dance. Say, I'm gonna go with my mom. I'm gonna go with my mama. And my mama was cool, let me go to homecoming. But my grandmother, baby, on Friday night, that's service, terrorist service, calling on Jesus. So I knew my grandmother would say no, but I say, Grandma, I'm about to go to my mama house. I haven't seen my mama in a long time. I miss my mommy. So I call my mama house, but then I'll be like, okay, ma, I'm going over, because she lived down the street from my grandma's. I'm like, I'm about to go get on this train, go up to the Green Line, take the 630 Ashland to 35th and go to go to homecoming. Then we were dancing or whatever. So I just remember that. I remember the thing with. I just remember it. Yeah. I remember they said yes, but yeah, I just remember it was just so much fun being in school. Like it was fun. Like I said, my best days was my junior and senior year. That was my best days. And one of my proudest moments in school, I will never forget it, that I got an award. I was honored with many other students for like debate from different schools. And because I was like one of the top speaker awards I was getting in the debate, we went to this dinner. My mother came. We took pictures. I don't know if my mom got a copy of those pictures, but I just remember that. And the principal, my mom, they stood up and started clapping. It was such an honor. It was such an honor of that. I just would never forget that. Yeah, I will never forget it. I will never forget it. I will never forget that moment. I was just never forget it. It was so it felt good. It felt good to be recognized. So school was good. And I just remember high school. I love it. I love it. I just never forget. They said when you go to high school, you ain't gonna remember nobody name. You gonna forget about these people. We like what? Sit down. Oh, but now in my 30s, now yes, half these people I don't remember their name. Some of the people I still follow on Facebook. Shout out to Brittany Cornell. I forgot her. Shout out to these people. She's married now, and I tried to date her. Okay, give me a sec. All right. So Brittany, uh, well, I tried to date her. She would answer me, but it was back into Baz. I'm gonna go back to Baz, and I'm done. I'm gonna go to other topics. It was just was Jamie cousin Samantha. She was so attractive. She had a crush on me. I had a crush on her, or whatever the case may be, and I just loved her. I just loved her. All right, it was just good. I just really love. I thought it was love, but it was lust. But I just remember it, man. I just remember school, and then I went to Fernwood Elementary School. I remember some time there in Fernwood Elementary School. I just remember that coming up. But I've always been a person like shy, more so like an introvert, but I was always in special ed. I could just remember the papers of in special ed, back to the special ed piece about, oh, Wiley liked computers, Wiley liked to read. Like I just remember that. And it was some good moments. I remember being in those classes with 4 people and I would see 8th graders graduate. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to graduate. And then look at me now, 30 some years old. But God is truly good. I just remember those moments. It was a blessing. I love it. I don't take it, regret it. It helped me who I am today. Thank you, Sukihana, for triggering that memory for me. Because I could go on and on and on. But thank you for triggering that memory for me, honey. That was like a little history of me in school or whatever the case may be. But I was in the choir. Shout out to Mr. Wright, our choir director. I was in choir, debate. Those were the 2 things that I was very active in school. Debate and choir. And I love my political, was that political science? It wasn't political science. It was a history. I got to go back to my transcripts. But I remember a white guy, because I remember after each election, we would talk about politics. I loved it because at that time, it was no such thing as CRT and get history. It was really good. Like we were allowed to talk and have debates in school about President Obama. And I believe at that time, I don't think I wanted President Obama in office. I think I was trolling. I think I will always take the other side. And I think I said we need John McCain. We don't need Obama. I believe I did take McCain's side in school. Yes, I did. Because he won. And I couldn't vote for Obama. So I took McCain's side. I said, I don't think this country is ready for President Obama. We need John McCain. He don't have no experience. And I just remember us debating in school. And then they would say, you always got to take the other side. You don't believe in that. You take other people's side. I just remember that. I love school. I remember those debates. I remember those conversations. I used to always like to argue. I would just pick an argument. Shout out to Felicia and Alicia Pack. I remember those sisters. I don't know if y'all can find them on Facebook. Tell them I said, hey. But I think it was Alicia or Felicia, one of the Pack sisters. They was twins. They slapped me in high school. One of them slapped me in the lunchroom. Wow! I don't know if I said something against her. I don't know what I did, but she slapped me in the she slapped me in that lunchroom. Wow! I remember that slap. I remember it. I don't know if I touched her on her butt. Like I don't think I did. No, I didn't do that. I think she just wanted to slap. I just said something smart about her because it was my mouth. I think I said something smart about her. I said something, and she slapped me because I was making some jokes, and I think it was time for me to roast her about her hair. Somebody dragged her about something, and she slapped me. Yes, she did. She slapped me. Oh, she slapped me. I had about, and I said, woo. And I was so ashamed. I was embarrassed. But that was back in Chicago Military Academy. I love it. Shout out to Brownsville. Shout out to the Military Academy at Brownsville. Love y'all dearly. Oh 09. We were the best year. We was the best year. Because we was the last one digit. Like everybody was like 06, 05, 04. I think we were the last one digit. So 09 was good. Like 09 was great. All right. Yeah. 09. Yeah, 09 it was good. And my last piece about it was prom. Because we here, okay, and I'm gonna go to the other topics, y'all. Bear with me. And I didn't have a prom date. Nobody wanted to take me to prom. And so I went to church, and it was three. Sister Hash had three daughters. I mean, good looking daughters. Rashonda, Michelle, her two daughters, and Monica. Beautiful daughters. And I had a crush on Michelle. But Sharma was getting all the girls. I had a crush on Michelle. She was red bone. She talks tall. That was like my crush. I had a crush on her. But we never could get together. But so Rashonda had started developing a crush about her. So I asked her to my prom, and she said yes. And my mom, we got like it wasn't a limousine, so it was like a little town car, and had a little long jacket suit, went to prom, and they were shocked, like, this is his date? Well, congratulations. Like, I was happy because I had a bad day. Like, she was everything. I love Rashonda. And I remember like going to prom, and I remember dancing with her, and I remember us going to IHOP after prom because we always had to go to IHOP, and that was like the thing. But I wasn't that devious. I was a church kid. Did I, in the back of my head, did I want to smash on prom? Yeah, but we couldn't do that. I was a church kid. But went to that. We dropped off at home. It was just amazing. I love her. Yeah, those are memories. Yeah, those are memories. Those are some memories. Oh 09 all day. Oh 09 all day. And I just cannot wait to do like I went to Olive Garden after prom. Yeah, I had went to we went to IHOP. We went to IHOP in 24 hours, and it was fun. I would never forget it. I paid for the food, whatever. Well, my mom paid for it. She gave me money. It was just a good feeling. I will never forget the family coming to see us for prom. My grandmother at the time, she was able to walk and everything. She was just very active. It was just a good thing, man. It was a good thing. And just seeing this book, it just bring back so. And my sister hate when I pull this book out. She said, "You don't know that, no people." It just like seeing this book. It's just something, man. Seeing this book. It's just this is something. Mm. And it's like always, now that I have some like, because I don't have too much stuff like back when I was a kid. But when I go back to like my goals here, like my goal is to be a lawyer or a police officer or a teacher. My dreams are to be rich and famous and have a wife and a big family. I remember that. I remember that. I remember that. I remember that. Oh, I got her name here. Her name, because they used to call her Miss Doodlestick, but they dropped that. Her name was Seville Davis. She was the co-captain of the Bass cheerleader team. Ah! This is her whole name in here. Wow. Oh my God. And Kamisha. Oh, they was good look. They was some. And shout out to Miss Weathers. She passed, you know. Uh they said Wiley didn't know her. Where is Wiley friend? So I didn't have a lot of friends, but like Jamie, he was considered a friend. Rashad, he was a friend that I met in Bass. I didn't have like a lot of friends. I was mostly like growing up in church, like Jerry, Vincent, Sherman. Before he touched and violated my sister, he's a predator. Like Jerry, Sherman, Vincent. Who else was in there? Brittany. She didn't like my guts. She couldn't stand me. She said I was ugly. I ain't gonna forget. And may she rest in peace. Her mama did pass away, so rest in peace, Sister Robinson. I mean, may Sister Robinson rest in peace. May God bless her soul. But Brittany didn't like her. But she was good looking. It was mostly like the church kids. It was mostly like growing up with them because we spent most time with each other, like Tuesday, Wednesday, third, Friday, every second Sunday, all day Sunday. So it was them. Who else growing up? Sir Steven and Willie, you know, Sir Steven, he screwed my ex-girlfriend, got her pregnant when he was 14 and everything. You know, Patrice, that's my first one I made love to. I broke my virginity with Patrice Everett. I remember her. Now she's a lesbian. Yeah. Rashonda, Monica, Rayshawn, and Michelle, all of them. Yeah, I could just go on and on and on and on and on. But I love them. Hey y'all. I don't even know, like, cause like, okay, this gonna be like a long video. All right. But I could just, you know, her bringing back soul class, just bringing back childhood memories. But we were very thottish in church. We were kissing, and I had sex with one of the church women. She was a grown woman, and I was grown too. And her name was Patrice. She was like in her 20s, like, so I was like 18, 19. And everybody was like having sex. Like it was just like we was just doing it. Like like the teenagers, like we was dating each other, like we was doing. I'm surprised none of us married. Like nobody married each other from that group. Nobody. But everybody was. And Sherman was he was very popular. He was a good looking dude. He was dating everybody. And I remember this was Mother Ship's granddaughter. I remember we was at church Sunday. No, Saturday or yeah, Saturday. It was like a Saturday because we had to sell like barbecue ribs and stuff like that. And my uncle, I didn't know my uncle was like watching me and her because we was about to get it in because like she was opening up her legs or whatever, like Mothership's granddaughter, right? And she was around. We were the same age, and I was getting turned on, and I don't know if she had on. I think she showed me. Yeah, she did show, and I was ready. I didn't know what I was gonna do to it, but I was ready. And my uncle, he came outside. He said, "Marquise Ken in here," and blah blah blah. He said, "Don't do that. You gotta. That's against God. You gotta be saved." And blah blah blah. I'm like, listen. I'm like, yeah, Pastor. I wasn't gonna do that, but my hormones. And I was jumping, you know. But we used to do a lot of stuff, kiss and make out and do all type of stuff. Like it was like we was devilish. Like we really was. Like growing up in church, like we were getting it in. Like, and I didn't start. I was late because then nobody wanted to smash me. So I didn't break my virginity until I was grown. The rest of them, they did it before they was grown. Baby, they was having orgies and all type of stuff. Like I remember one time Jerry came, he said, man, they had sex and the condom like ripped and like sperm like was going. I just remember them talking and they were breaking yeah, they were breaking that like way before Before me, like they were breaking that way before me. I was a label owner, you know what I'm saying? And so yeah, but I started picking up that swag, and me and Patrice started doing or whatever, and it felt good. I see why they did it. I didn't want to stop, you know what I'm saying? But God had plans for my life, because it's like every time I'm about to get a female pregnant, it's like I'm going to the military, I'm moving. It's like, even in this situation, I don't know if God don't want me to do this without being married. I don't know. But it's like God have all like intervening, or some type of force intervene when it comes to stuff like that. I saw my church was working at the talent show. I couldn't believe it. So I just remember, because like the last time I had sex with a female was like back in February, and it's done. Like it was a one night stand, and I don't know if she's pregnant or not, because we kind of like cease communication or whatever the case may be. But I hope not, because I don't want that, because that would be like, damn, I did not break the curse of having these one night stands. I'm a product of a one night stand. So I just hope, God doesn't want you to get nobody pregnant beforehand. Yes. And so I'm trying to force that to happen. But thank God, she's not. Let me make sure. Let me call her. Make sure she's good. I'm gonna call out the show. I hope she's not. But it will not surprise me. I just hope she not, because that would put a monkey wrench in my plans. But let's move on to the other topic here. Y'all got in my personal business. Okay. They said my husband is the son of a pastor, and my husband is the son of a pastor, and he is terrible. 12-year-old little Wiley twins up there. No, wait a minute, don't tell her that. I don't have no kids. I don't, because I don't. Don't put that out there in the universe. We love video. Don't put that out, because they tried it. They tried it with Patrice when she had those twins, and they said those were mine. But I knew that second time when we had, because the first time it was none came out, and so and I knew, I was kind of shocked. I'm like, no. And then she called and she said, no, it's not yours, it's Sir Stephen's, and it looked just like their family. It ain't mine. But they wanted to make it and then it was his kids. And the sad part of the story, he was 14 years old. He was a minor, and he went to Chicago Military School because he wanted to follow into my footsteps, going to that school. He said, while I'm going to, I said, you going to Chicago Military Academy? He in there, and he didn't graduate, and he got her pregnant with twins. And Donetta wanted to press charges. And I keep saying these names. And I got to stop saying these names, because this show is popular. Y'all be reaching out to these people, because somebody called me and said, Wiley, why you saying that on your show? That's private business. I keep forgetting that I ain't talking to myself with 3 people, because I don't know how to stop saying people's real name. I don't know how to do it. I don't do nicknames, because when I went to church, baby, we put an address on it. When my uncle sometimes he won't put a name on it, but we know who he talking about. And then sometimes when he on a gossip in the car, he gonna say the person name. So I just developed that. I don't know how not to say the person name. And sometimes I try to use it and it come out. I didn't know that I was gonna have a show with thousands of people watching me. I didn't know. And sometimes I forget that I'm talking to, I ain't talking to myself, but I just be talking. But I'll be offering people business. I'm sorry. But I never thought that I was going to do the show. And then people keep saying a book. Baby, this is just this is just this is just the surface stuff. This ain't like the meat. I can go even deeper into a lot of stuff. And so, and they said when you get that cease and desist, you might want to say that, just say no names. I just like that. And the Sherman piece, I think he got it the worst, because I don't think Sharman ever knew. He knew that I like to do media, because we done a YouTube video together. He told me to delete it, because one of the church people saw our video. He said delete it, so I deleted it. And he got it the worst because y'all go his Facebook DMs. Y'all go to his Facebook all the time. He changed his name from Sharman Blake Marlowe to S.O. Blake Marlowe, and he private his entire Facebook page. Like, if you ain't his friend, you ain't getting on there to get the tea. Because and my sister told me, she said, hey, I think when you came with an allegation, it kind of like destroyed their marriage. But that's her theory, but their marriage was already destroyed. I mean, she was dating a down low predator, and thank God you free. But yeah, he got it the worst. I think Sharman got it the worst. Yeah, I think he got it the worst of the wrath of Wiley. And the reason why he got it the worst because he actually violated somebody close to Wiley. He violated my sister, my baby sister. So I will always talk about him every chance I get, even though he's in law enforcement, he's a pedo and he haven't apologized. You know what I'm saying? That ain't right. You can't violate somebody and think it's okay. And he didn't just violate my sister, he violated Jerry's sister, Kaya Booth, as well when she was a little girl. And I remember that. And so, hey, I have to just share it. And many people got mad at me sharing it, but I'm gonna keep sharing it. All right. And he avoid coming to visit us or talk to us because he know he wrong. You can't do that. You didn't think like we were gonna get older and become powerful media folks. You just can't go around doing that. That's sick. That's crazy. And when my sister told me about it many years ago, it drove me. I'm like, wow, I didn't know it. You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of like, I ain't know that at all, man. I ain't know that he did that to you, sis. I was shocked. I really was. Okay, let's move on. Now we talked about that. Now, who else are we going to talk about? He tried to erase, yes, but you can't. I mean, I still remember. All right, we talked about